Welcome to today's Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're here with us because today we're going to tackle a problem pretty much every single one of us faces, and honestly, we're going to completely transform how you think about your workspace. We are taking the sheer chaos that drains your energy every day and turning it into calm, seamless efficiency. Throughout this Explainer, we'll dive into the incredible science of visual management and see exactly how organizing our physical and digital worlds can absolutely supercharge our productivity.
But first, quick question for you, and be totally honest here. Does your workplace setup actually cause you unnecessary stress? Like, have you ever opened up your laptop, stared at a totally overwhelming, messy network drive, or maybe been handed a ridiculously complex, text-heavy manual and just felt an immediate spike in your blood pressure? Right? Well, that feeling of exhaustion before you've even started the actual work is called cognitive overload. And establishing exactly why this universal problem happens is the very first step to fixing it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for the Explainer today. First, we'll look at the workplace chaos problem. Then we'll move on to Visual Management Explained. Walk through a really cool construction simulation, check out the dramatic results, and finally wrap up with organizing your digital space.
Starting off with Section 1, the workplace chaos problem.
So, traditional work systems rely incredibly heavily on dense text and hidden info. Think about it for a second. When you're forced to dig through a labyrinth of folders just to find one single file, or when you have to read a dense, paragraph-long set of instructions to figure out where to place a component, your brain is doing some serious heavy lifting just to process the environment itself. You're literally burning precious cognitive energy navigating the chaos rather than actually doing the task. This spikes your cognitive load and, inherently, shoots your stress levels way up.
Moving right along to Section 2, Visual Management Explained. Visual management, or VM for short, is basically a strategy designed specifically to optimize how information flows and reduce those cognitive processing demands we just talked about. Instead of using words to tell you what to do, VM uses clear, intuitive visual cues. And it works. According to previous research analyzed in our source material, implementing visual management in industrial construction actually improved production control and reduced process variability by up to a staggering 32% compared to conventional, non-visual methods. It essentially makes the invisible visible. Which brings us to Section 3, the construction simulation. Researchers set up a fascinating crossover study where they had participants act as workers modifying a digital residential floor plan. They were given a super strict time limit of just 6 minutes to complete 25 precise architectural placement tasks. Now, in the traditional control group setup, they had a completely blank floor plan and a dense text-based list of instructions telling them exactly what to do. Just imagine the mental gymnastics required for a second. Reading a text instruction, looking at an architectural element, finding the right spot on a blank map, and then trying to remember the orientation, all while the clock is relentlessly ticking down. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the contrast with the experimental group. This was the visual management setup. Instead of reading a list of text instructions, these participants used a floor plan with intuitive shadow markings and color coding. The visual cues inherently told them exactly where the refrigerator, the piano, or the double bed needed to go. Zero reading required. The environment itself communicated the instructions instantly and seamlessly.
Let's look at Section 4, the dramatic results.
When researchers crunched the numbers on the average performance, they saw a massive leap. Using the traditional text-heavy method, participants completed a mean of 13 tasks out of 25 in those 6 minutes. But when using the visual management floor plan, the mean number of tasks completed jumped to 20. That is a 54% improvement in average performance simply by changing how the information was presented to them.
So the crucial point is what happened to the mode. The most frequently occurring score among all the participants. In the traditional control group, the most frequent number of completed tasks was a mere 9. But in the experimental, visual group, that number absolutely skyrocketed to a perfect 25 out of 25. Let that sink in for a moment. The most common outcome shifted from barely finishing a third of the work to flawlessly completing the entire shebang.
But honestly, here is the most important part when we talk about cognitive load. The researchers asked these participants to self-report their stress levels on a 10-point scale during the tasks. In the traditional group, the most common stress level reported was a high 7. People were frantic. But in the visual management group, the most common self-reported stress level plummeted all the way down to a near 0.1. Productivity went straight through the roof, and simultaneously, the stress almost entirely evaporated. And this brilliantly illustrates that this isn't just some academic theory, it has massive real-world applications. Take a look at this actual construction project at Akron Children's Hospital. What you're seeing here are color-coded dots on metal studs. Yellow signals the studs are completed, purple means plumbing and HVAC are done, pink is for insulation, orange for electrical, and green signals final approval. This incredibly simple visual system rapidly communicates task completion to successive trade partners. Nobody needs to go track down a foreman or read a long status report. The wall itself tells the next worker exactly what they need to know without a single written word.
Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 5, organizing your digital space. So we all easily recognize physical hoarding, right? A messy desk covered in lost papers and coffee cups clearly hinders our ability to work. But we so often ignore digital hoarding. You know that desktop background covered in like 400 random screenshots? According to Lean Forms, lots of organizations lack a unified policy for digital information, and the result is a network drive that's just an absolute jumble of folders, duplicate emails, and files saved just in case. Navigating this digital mess creates the exact same cognitive stress and time-wasting friction as trying to build a floor plan from a dense text manual. To combat this, we can apply some really actionable steps derived from the Lean 5S method, tailored specifically for the digital world. Step 1. Purge duplicate and just-in-case files. Seriously, stop hoarding digital stock that you don't actually need. Step 2. Implement a unified digital policy across your team so everyone is speaking the same organizational language. And Step 3. Establish a fixed, visual place for everything. Just like those shadow markings on the digital floor plan told the students exactly where the piano went, your digital filing system should be so intuitive that finding a file requires zero cognitive strain.
Which leaves me with a final challenge for you today. Take a look. What does your digital desktop look like right now? Is it a chaotic jumble of text and random files that just drains your energy? Or is it a clear, visually managed space that empowers you to work smoothly and entirely stress-free? By taking the lessons from that construction simulation and applying them to your digital world today, you can eliminate the friction, drop those stress levels down to a 1, and totally reclaim your productivity. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.